The expat community in Vietnam is small, but it is quickly growing. More and more people are moving to Vietnam to take advantage of the low cost of living here, and because they love the laid-back atmosphere that can be found throughout the country. Most expats choose to live in Hanoi or Ho Chi Minh City, which offer a variety of cultural experiences for those who want them. Although life as an expat involves many sacrifices, most people find it well worth their while once they get used to Vietnamese culture and begin making friends with other foreigners around town. What is life like as an expat in Vietnam? Vietnam has a lot to offer expats in terms of culture, the food and just about everything else. The low cost of living is one major factor that draws people here, but it's also possible for foreigners who have lived abroad to open their own businesses with relatively little difficulty, and often without having any Vietnamese language skills. It's worth mentioning that English-speaking Filipino workers can be found all over Vietnam, and they are usually willing to hire out as maids or nannies. This makes life considerably easier for those foreign families who want an affordable babysitter or cleaner. Expat communities tend to congregate around expat restaurants on Sundays, where you'll find groups from different countries chatting away while sipping wine and eating meals together. Challenges of living as an expat in Vietnam. The most common challenge expats find when they move to Vietnam is the language. It is not always possible for those who have been living abroad and don't speak Vietnamese, or other languages commonly spoken in this region of the world, such as Cantonese or Mandarin. This can make it difficult to communicate with locals and get around town. This tends to be less of an issue with younger Vietnamese people, especially in bigger cities, but thankfully there are some options available. English-speaking Filipinos, often working as maids, nannies, will usually be happy to help out in exchange for a small fee. If you're savvy enough, you could simply use an app like Google Translate on your phone by typing "conversation" into its search bar followed by what sentence you want translated, although this isn't always perfect. How much do you need to live comfortably in Vietnam? This is something that all people who intend to become expats will wonder about, and the answer is a little more complex than you might anticipate. What affects cost of living? Location. Moving to either Saigon or Hanoi will increase your totals considerably, and if you want a private apartment as opposed to living in an expat dorm, this will be another large expense on top of rent itself. Lifestyle. The type of lifestyle that you lead will have a big bearing on your monthly costs. If you're out in the bars every night, then it's going to be a lot more expensive than if you decide to just go out on a Friday or Saturday night. Income. Your ability to live comfortably will be determined by your income, and the more you earn, then it is going to cost less. How much does it cost? A rough estimate would put living in Vietnam for an expat at about $1,500 a month. This includes rent, food, transportation costs, including fuel, entertainment expenses like eating out or hitting up happy hour with friends, and even clothes if they wish. The monthly fee includes all of these things as well as private health insurance, which can get pretty expensive itself. That's not including any flights back home or other miscellaneous fees that might crop up from time to time. So bear in mind that there are always hidden costs when looking into moving abroad. How much does the average property rental cost in Vietnam? The general rental cost in Ho Chi Minh City can range from $200 a month all the way up to several $100s. That's for a one-bedroom apartment. You might be able to find something cheaper if you're willing to share with someone else or take on another roommate. In Hanoi, the monthly rent will be about $200 to $300 depending on how large of an area they are renting out and where that house, apartment is located. You should also keep in mind that expats who live outside of these two major cities like Nha Trang may find it difficult to go out as much because transportation costs can get pretty pricey and there aren't many other foreigners around, so making friends could prove hard to. What will my daily life be like as an expat in Vietnam? We'll start with the basics. The expat community is generally friendly and supportive of each other as they all understand what it's like to be in a foreign country living outside of their native culture. They can often help you find your way around, give advice on how best to go about things, or just chat over coffee. Vietnamese people are also generally very welcoming towards foreigners, so make sure you reach out and introduce yourself. The pros and cons of life as an expat in Vietnam. The pros of moving to Vietnam as an expat are that it's a beautiful country full of wonderful people and there is plenty to explore. The cons of being an expat in Vietnam are that it can be sometimes difficult to find English-speaking people if you're not in a city. You may also find the level of pollution in the bigger cities to be a bit much. If you're considering becoming an expat, then make sure that the pros outweigh the cons, as there are many other countries which would be better suited for expats than Vietnam. How to be successful as an expat in Vietnam. How can you be a successful expat in Vietnam? You have to be ready for the challenges and take on any opportunities that come your way. Be open-minded, learn about the culture and you will do well. You should also try not to compare what's happening at home with living abroad all of the time or get disappointed when some days are really tough. Try having a few Vietnamese dishes so you can feel more like part of things, but remember that eating Western food is always easier if someone speaks English, so brush up on your language skills. Another tip would be to keep busy. Join clubs, go out there into town every day and meet people, try not to only visit bars and focus on the nightlife. Vietnam is a really beautiful country with many wonderful things to see and experience. Tips for living abroad. Try to learn some Vietnamese phrases or even speak the language. It will make life much easier and you'll feel like part of the community. Keep busy, join clubs, go out there into town every day and meet people. Don't just stay in bars all night long partying your time away. That's not what expat living is about. Be open-minded when it comes to trying new things, especially food, so you can feel more at home here, but remember that eating Western food is always easy because someone speaks English if necessary. Brush up on your language skills too for a full experience abroad. Tips for being a good ambassador for your country when you live abroad. It's important that you always try to be a good ambassador for your country, especially when you are in another country. Here are some tips for being a good ambassador. Keep your political opinions to yourself and never talk about how much better your home country is than the one you're living in. Be respectful of their culture when visiting places like temples or mosques, even if they don't know what those words mean. Don't be too loud with respect to language so that locals can enjoy peace and tranquility. Speak softly. Always smile, it's contagious. You'll make people happy just by doing this one simple thing that costs nothing but time. Lots more smiles around means less violence, which also makes everyone happier. Your government won't appreciate angry expats though, so try not to snap if a situation is getting under your skin. Learn the language. It will come in very handy. Respect their customs and culture as best you can. If someone is late for an appointment, wait patiently without saying a word so that they know it's not okay to be late. Some other cultures are not as fastidious as Westerners about punctuality. Eat whatever food your host offers, of course. Never refuse anything, but if something seems unsafe or unhealthy, don't go overboard. Just eat what you're given once or twice before deciding whether or not you want to try again later on down the road.